My name is Matt and I'm part of the managed service team here at Preact, and today we'll be talking about Power BI. So what is Power BI? It's an incredibly useful tool that is part of Microsoft Stack, which allows you to pull in data from various different areas to create complex reporting for your business needs. Some of those areas might include items like Dynamics, Excel sheets, Google Analytics, or SQL databases. And some of the typical requirements of a visualization might include seeing which products that you're selling the most, at which location, and for which user. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to run through kind of dashboards and then look at some of the different visualizations that are available to us, how to embed these dashboards into Dynamics, as well as do some very basic report creation in the second half. So for now, you can see in front of us, we have got a Power BI dashboard. This is made up of two different data sources. So at the top, we've got a sales one, and at the bottom, we're looking at service. So this is used primarily as a kind of managerial tool to have a snapshot of information, so they can very quickly go in, see exactly what they need to see, and then go into the different bits. If they need to see more information on it, what they can do is they can click on a visualization, like this one here, and now take it to the underlying data, or underlying report, sorry. So this report here, we're talking about sales. So you've got your actual sales versus estimated sales. As you can see, at the moment, we have got a filter on that will look at the actual sales across the different years. So we've got 2018 and 2019 data here. If I click on 2018, what that does, it will filter out the two visualizations above. So the highest valued accounts. So account 40 is the highest for 2018. And if you go to 2019, you can see that's the account 60, which is the highest. You'll also notice that at the end of the visualization here for the actual sales, we've got a forecast. So forecasting is quite a useful tool. Basically, Power BI goes back, looks at your pre-existing data, and then extrapolates it out and goes into the future and predicts what you're going to be using it for based on various factors. So here, if the data finishes in December of 2019, looking at January, it thinks that the forecast is going to be about 530,000 with an upper bound of 670 and a lower bound of 380, which is quite useful. Some of the other bits you can do on here is you can specify a specific sales user. So here we have our sales users at the bottom. We've got people like Fiona Foster, Peter Parsons, Steve Smith. So if we click on one of them, so Fiona, it will then filter out the rest of the data based on the opportunities that are associated with her user. Likewise, if you go into Peter, it changes again. And then if you want to see Peter's 2019 data, you can filter that as well. So it's quite a useful tool there. If you go on to one of the other pages we've got things like lead velocity. So this is how long it's going to take for a lead to basically go through your entire sales process, from creation to qualification, and then the creation of the opportunity to the win of the opportunity. So you can see people like Mark up here, it takes them on average 26 days to qualify a lead, but then only 4 days to convert that qualified lead into a won opportunity. Whereas someone like Terry is the other way around. It will take him only 9 days to qualify the lead, but on average it'll then take 57 days to complete the opportunity as won. Again, we've got filters at the bottom, so we can see the 2018 or the 2019 data. And if we take that off, you can see data across all times. So go back into, say, 2019. You can also see at the bottom, we've done the same thing, so lead velocity by business source this time. So this is where the lead's coming from. So if it's from LinkedIn, email, partner referral, that kind of thing. You can see how long it's going to take to qualify the lead, then win the opportunity. And on the right-hand side, we've got a comparison between your estimated close date versus the actual close date by user and then by business source. So you can see that Mark here, he tends to close down opportunities around 12 days quicker than he estimated he was going to, which is quite useful. On the next page here, we have got one of the more interesting visualizations. On the right-hand side, see it's just running analysis there. This is our key influencers metric. So this is a fairly new visualization available to Power BI, and it can do some pretty advanced data analysis based on the data that you're putting in. So for here, we want to see which influences opportunities to be won. So basically looking at all the different factors that we've added to this visualization, which ones are causing opportunities to be won more often. So we've added in things like, does this account have a dedicated account manager? Are there multiple service providers to this account? Added in the different business sources or lead sources, as well as time to qualify leads. So if we click on here, we can see that if there is a dedicated account manager, you're 1.8 times more likely to win an opportunity than not. And you can see with the no, it's only about 40% of one. Likewise, if you click on multiple services provided as yes, you can see there's a much higher chance of winning if you've got multiple services. So for this, you can put in things like who's the salesperson, how long they've been a customer, how many other opportunities have you won, but loads of different factors, and allows you to really understand which metrics are causing your opportunities to be won or lost. And then on the left-hand side, we have got basically your business source rate. So the different ways, the different places the leads are coming in, and how likely you are to win. So for an existing customer, here we've got 82% likelihood of winning versus an 18% chance of losing. Things like partner referral, it's about 50-50, and some of the other ones are a little bit higher or lower depending on the source. And on here, you've got filters at the top. So again, I can see the 2018 data, and then it reruns the analysis for those. Give that a second, and then it gives you slightly different. Or you've got the 2019 data. Again, it will rerun the analysis, and again, slightly different. But you can also do this by salesperson. So if you look at the users we were talking about earlier, if you go to someone like Mark Markham, you see the existing customers, he's 91% won versus 9% lost. And here, if there's a dedicated account manager, they're 1.3 times more likely to win than if there's not a dedicated account manager. Finally, we have got sales territories. So sales territory, if we come out of that quickly, we will look at all of the opportunities that have been won on a map on the right hand side. So if I want to see if the opportunity was created in, say, 2019, it'll filter it down so we can see which opportunities have been won at which location. And then you've got on the left hand side some fish swimming around in a tank. If we hover our mouse over, you can see that Mark Markham has done 1.1 million worth of sales, whereas Chris Collins has done 1.7 million. And naturally, because we're talking about a sales team, these fish have to be sharks, because all sales teams love being sharks. So yeah, so there are a couple of different visualizations you've got. If we head back into the dashboard, that's the sales one. And then for service, if we click on that, it will take you to the service dashboard. And then again, very similar, but this one's more focused about service and cases. So average case age, what's your oldest case, where are the cases, how many do you have open at the moment? So say here, you've got a target of having less than 200 cases. They've only got 116 open at the moment, which is perfect. Also, top account usage, so you can see which accounts are using your services more often than others. And again, you can split that up by user again. So we look at Fiona, or again, Mark, who has those there. And then if we go to, say, a cases over time, one of the common metrics we find is we have customers that want to see how many cases did we have open at a specific point in time. So Dynamics, in essence, doesn't allow you to do that because you're talking about live data. So what we really need to do is go back in time, take a snapshot at that time, and say we have got X amount of cases open at that time. So one of the things that we can do for you is we can look at the cases that were created and the cases that were closed, do some wizardry in essence, and then give you a number that in Here we've got October 2019, there were 400 cases open with this system. And at the bottom you've got a distribution of when the case was logged in terms of time and day of the month. And at the end you've got another fairly similar one to the sales, but this one's talking about where are the cases and what are the priorities. So we can see that if you just want to look at the P2 cases, you've got 3 in investigating, 2 in UAT, 2 in waiting for details, and then they're around the country. So yeah, so those are some of the visualizations you can see in Power BI. Now, if we move on to Dynamics, we've got our demo tenant here. You might want to have your users keep going into Dynamics for all of their information, including that of reporting. So for that, what we can do is we can use the dashboard functionality to embed the Power BI dashboards within Dynamics. And that's fairly straightforward. You can do new, and then you've got a Power BI dashboard, and you can select the one. What I've done is I've already created one. So here we've got the demo dashboard, which will be the same dashboard you saw in Power BI. But here, it's all in Dynamics, nice and easy to see. So say if I want to go in and see more information on it, I can click, it opens up into a slightly larger page. And then again, if I go there and then I go to Open Power BI Report, that will open the Power BI report within your Dynamics instance. So you have users that never need to go anywhere else apart from Dynamics. One of the other things you can do with a dashboard is you can have a combined dashboard. So this is where you have Dynamics data, so it'll be Dynamics lists or charts alongside Power BI visualizations. So if you do have data that's from different sources, or you have a dashboard requirement of a visualization that's too complex for Dynamics, you can build in Power BI and then put it into Dynamics and then have it on the same dashboard with your other tiles. So moving on from there, I thought I'd run through some of the ways that Preact can assist your business in building these reports, and then we'll talk a bit more about actually creating some of the visualizations. So how can Preact help your business? We can do it one of 3 ways. We can either provide you training on how to build the report yourself, or we can do a scope where we can run through the requirements with you and then we can build the report for you. Or you can do somewhere in between where we can do the scope, run through the report, build a simplistic data set as well as some basic visualizations, and then provide you training on how to take that data set and those visualizations and then enhance them further for your specific needs. So if we're talking about the report we just looked at, one of the visualizations there was a line chart of sales over time. So to produce this, we've opened up a Power BI desktop and we've got the data set on the right hand side and our visualizations in this section here. So for this, we'll need a line chart. So if I click on that, it'll open up a blank and basic line chart where we've then got areas on the right hand side for us to fill in data. So we'll need axis, values, and potential legend. So for this, if we're talking about opportunities over time, if I drop down the opportunities table, I'll look at the value of the opportunity, which will be the value of this visualization. And then for the axis, we'll be looking at the actual close date. So if you pull that across, you can then see it has mapped this over time for you. At the moment, this is looking at all of the opportunities, and we may want to filter this down so we only see the 1 opportunities. So for this, you can see we've got a filters section, and within here, if I drag and drop the status in, I can then filter these by only looking at the 1 opportunities for that time period. And you can see it's filtered out anything that wasn't 1 that has relevant data in those fields. So on here, you can see that 2012 was this, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, 17. But maybe you want a bit more granularity to your data. Maybe you want to see it by month or by day. So we've got some controls up in the left-hand side, where we've got a expand all down one level in the hierarchy, or expand just one level entirely. A hierarchy in this instance is talking about year, quarter, month, day, which we can see on the right hand side. So if I expand all down one level in this, it will then go to the different quarters of those years. So 2013 quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, etc. A lot of the times this isn't particularly necessary for reporting. So if you just want to see it by months, we can go across to here, we can get rid of the quarter, get rid of the day, do the same thing again, and then you can see that for the specific month of July 2014, the value was 525,000. And then it peaks and troughs as you go throughout the years. You might want to add a few more analytics to this. So on the right hand side, we've got a little analytics tab here. On here, I might want to see a trend line. So if I just add in a trend there, you can see trending over time, going upwards in a positive direction. As I mentioned, one of the other interesting features is adding a forecast. So if I go down to the forecast on the right hand side here, add a new one, and then say I want to forecast for the next 3 months. We can go in 3 months and apply. It will then look at the previous data and then extrapolate out the next 3 months worth. With that, there's a confidence interval. So the more confident the model is, the wider this is going to be. So if I just drop that down to 75%, you'll see that the upper and lowers shrink drastically. So it thinks that for the next one in 2020, it's going to be a forecast of 360,000 with an upper and a lower bound as expected. Now you might not want to see all of this data in one go, so you might want to add on one of the filters. So these are known as slices in Power BI. And if you click on that to open up as a visualization, I can then add a slicer in as, say, the actual close date. So pull that in. This will be a between slicer effectively, so you can set the before and the end date. So I go to 20 there and then go back. You can do that, but at the moment it's very granular. It's done on a day-by-day basis, which isn't particularly easy for a user to select the date range they want. So if I just drop this down into using the date hierarchy, it switches into years. So say I only want to see 2016 to 2019 data. It's as easy as that. So if I make that a little bit smaller now, and then on here, if I shrink this down, one of the other visualizations we had up there was the lead source effectiveness. So whether they've won opportunities or lost opportunities. So for that, we used a 100% bar chart. So if I click on that, it opens it up. And again, you've got this field picker, axis, legend, value, that kind of thing. So for this one, we'll be looking at the count of the opportunities. So for that, I'm just going to pull in the opportunity ID as the value. The axis is going to be the lead source. So if I pull that down here. And for the different colors, we're going to want the status of it effectively. So if we go back into opportunities, we can then pull in the status. And you can see here, we have got lost and won opportunities. Now at the moment, this isn't particularly readable, and lost is currently a green, which isn't synonymous with a negative aspect. So if we go back onto the formatter, and then look at the data colors, we can change these. So lost can go to a red, and then won can go back into that green. You might also want to see the actual values of it. So if you click on data labels, it'll then show you data labels. Now these are quite small at the moment. I'm aware that some people may not be able to read this. So you can just go in, add up the text size a little bit. You're going to do that on the X and the Y axis. Quite straightforward, just to ensure that everyone can read this as required. So one of the other very useful things about Power BI is you're not limited to the visualizations that are shown in this here. There is a really useful app store, where you can go in and there's a vast array of completely free visualizations to download. So one of them, which is quite useful, is if I scroll down, the infographic designer. So if I want to add this, I can just click add. It'll say it's imported into the report. And then we've got it down here. So if I add in a new page quickly, and then I'll do the same visualization as I did the first time. We'll just make this as big as possible. And then I want to see a sales over time. So what I'll do is on the here, this time I'm just going to click and drag in, and then it'll automatically resolve to the, if I change that to the hierarchy quickly, that'll make more sense. Yeah, so it'll automatically resolve into value over time, and this will be a bar chart. But bar charts can be a little bit boring to look at, so you can spice these up a little bit by changing the logos of them effectively. So in here we have a designer for us, and if I want to change the shape, I can change the shape to be either a star, which if I keep the ratio and multiple units, stars, or if it's something specific like a house, we can add in the house and get rid of that first one quickly. Again, they're stretched a little bit, so if I click on multiple units, you can then show the multiple units of the time over. Now these, again, these aren't limited to just items that are part of this designer. I could, if I wanted to, insert an image and upload it. So if I upload this Preact logo that we've got, and then I want to use that, so it's stretched out a little bit, and we switch on to multiple units, it then goes as you would want it to. So if I change that and keep the ratio, if I get rid of that other one, keep it there, you can then use your company logos. You can put, if it's different salespeople, you can put their faces in. I'm sure that's sometimes liked or not liked, depending on the person. But there's a lot of flexibility to kind of customize the report to be for your business itself. Anyway, that is a whirlwind stop of Power BI, and I'm going to open the floor to any questions.